Thanks so much for watching our show. We really appreciate the support. It costs a lot to produce, so we're asking for donations and pledges here on Patreon. Thanks again. Welcome back to See It and Feel It with Dr. Brett.
If you're looking to become a firefighter and you're a paramedic, it really opens up doors for you. So
now, what percentage of that firefighting paid force is a paramedic trained? Like,
in my job, 100%. And we only hire paramedics.
Wow. And how many people are in your fire department?
We have 98 people.
And they're all paramedics. Wow.
Yep. Or were they were hired as paramedics, or they're because you have so then I have a 15-year commitment to be a paramedic for the town I work for. So at the end of that,
a 15-year commitment because you want a pension, or 15 years because that they paid.
That's what they require. Yeah.
That's what they require.
Yep. Years, and then you can drop the parent. Because as fun as it can be to be a medic, it's also kind of a hassle sometimes. There's I'll give you an example. If it's 2 a.m. and someone's having chest pain and it's snowing out, when I get there, I'm the paramedic, so I got to treat them, and I'm happy to. It's great, you help them out. But the other guys, when I get in the ambulance to go to the hospital, they're going back to bed.
So, they go back to bed. I see. So
and I'm up writing the paperwork, taking the guy to the hospital, So
gotcha. But I thought everybody on your force is all paramedic trained. So what, do you draw straws? How's that work?
No. The way we work it's 3-man engines and a 4-man truck. So there's on the engine there's a firefighter they were a paramedic and they let it go, a lieutenant, and then the paramedic. So that's how. So the vacancies, those are the vacancies. So like for example, we're an older department, and a lot of those guys are now retiring. So there's a large number of paramedics. So the firefighter spots are dropping. So there are chances that the chief will allow us to drop early if you go into a firefighter spot.
Got it. So in order for you to just be a firefighter, you have to actually spend 15 years as a paramedic firefighter, right?
Yeah, and our department's great too, because so when in the old days, in the 70s, 80s, I think even into the 90s, we could be in a fire, me and you, right? I'm the paramedic, and we're in there. I'm on the hose firefighting, and then someone down the road calls for chest pain. They tap you on the shoulder and get you out, get changed, and you go to a medical call. Nowadays, if you're on as a firefighter, they don't pull you out. So they just let the ambulance service will handle the medical calls while we're all working as firemen.
Oh, wow. Okay. Are there exceptions to that if someone's dying? If they're
if we're on scene and there's someone who needs help, yeah, I'm not.
Okay, cool. I'm like, the way you described it, I'm like, we're just, if we're firemen, we're not helping it. We're fighting fires.
We are a union shop, Brett. So
gotcha. We're not going to mention the name of your fire department.
I'm only kidding.
Just in case.
I'm only kidding. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So that's a great example. But yeah, we will work in a capacity as a paramedic on scene. So there have been scenes where they pull a victim out who's burned. We're not going to wait for someone. I'm going to get my stuff and take off my gear and take that person to the hospital.
Right.
But if someone down the street calls 911 for a separate incident, we don't worry about that.
And how do you handle some of the more challenging aspects of your job? When you're at a car wreck and people have died, how do you handle stuff like that as a
I talk to
as
you.
a human being, not just as a talk to me.
I have a great relationship with Dr. Brett, but I also at work we talk it out. So you'll have debriefings where the meeting will discuss the call, and if you need help, you can reach out and it's all confidential. What I do is I talk a lot. If I feel something, I feel like something's bothering me, I'll let the more people I let know and talk about it. It's kind of like keep the wood down. The more I talk about it, the better. The more I deal with it.
Everybody has a different way of processing it, but the other guys are pretty receptive. Mostly, I assume Is it
Most
mostly
guys,
men on the force, I assume?
we have 2 women right now because
Yeah,
it's a
total.
very physical job. It's the physical test to get hired is it's not easy. It's a lot of heavy
Super
lifting.
intense, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you need a lot of physical strength to do the job. And
Yeah.
Connecticut doesn't. I'm in Connecticut. They don't cut that standard. There's no lady physical fitness test, male physical fitness test. It's the fitness test.
Got it. So
Yeah,
it would almost, it sounds like it would be easier almost to be a female cop than it would be a female fireman, right?
yeah, yeah. And I've talked about that too. The job as a cop, I think for females, it's not always as physical. Whereas my job, you have to be able to rip this wall down. You have to be able to carry this bundle of hose up the stairs. Whereas a cop, like, I don't know. I'm not a cop, so I don't want to speak too much on there. I don't know how that works, but
Well, it depends where you're working as a cop, right? Inner city
yeah,
versus, the
in the
suburbs
suburbs,
or
yeah,
whatever, right?
right.
So it really
Oh, and the
varies.
other to tie it into jujitsu has been a tremendous help for me with the stresses. Like if I'm, you know, in for those 2 hours I'm in class rolling around, I'm not thinking about anything except protecting my neck. So
Mm.
that's another outlet for stress for me.
In jujitsu, I was going to bring it around as well. The physical outlet, the release, the exercise, the strenuousness of it. But is there a breath component? Because in sports psychology, we
Huge,
work a lot with the breath.
huge,
So tell
yeah.
us about that component with jujitsu.
Oh, my coach does a lot of this too. He'll do breathing exercises, but so if you example, so someone they're on the side of me, they're pressing on me, and they're 210 pounds. I've learned belly breathing has been a great um, help around that. So you feel like you're suffocating, but it gives you time to think it out, and then you can maybe get some space, get an elbow in there, get a couple breaths in, get your next plan to get in a better position. And
Wow.
also, it's very cardiovascular, so you want to be in good cardio shape.
We lost Sean Manta.
Sorry,
There he
hey,
is.
hey,
Came
there.
back.
Yeah.
All right, very
Speaking
cool.
sounds like the wife just called me.
Oh, that
I
was
did.
another call, right? You're in the car. So this is our
Yeah.
first, Zoom cast in the car. So really, it's kind of a cool experience here, Sean. It's a different, like, kind of
We're
look and
breaking
angle. I
ground.
like it. What's that?
We're breaking ground.
Yeah, no, I like it. And you got a cool look going there, like with the
Yeah, that's
jacket.
like
I mean,
because if
yeah.
I'm out on injury, I've been able to grow a beard.
No, no, no. It's definitely a good look. It looks kind of like you're a tough guy a little bit.
And
Not
I'm
bad.
not. I want to
We
let the
know if
internet
other
know
people,
that.
he knows you're smart enough to know if other people watch this, then they're going to be like, I can kick that guy.
And maybe they can.
No, totally. And what about the other aspects of the mental game, the mindfulness practice and meditation? How do you incorporate that, into your training or into your life?
Well, you and I in the last 6 months have been focusing on that for me. That's been since we've been since I've been your client, we've always talked about mindfulness, the mental game, meditation, and only within like the last 6 months have I really taken it. I've made it my mission to be more mindful,
Right.
and I found it's been in everything: work, my hobbies, my marriage. It's a upward struggle with someone with ADD. I think with anyone,
Yeah.
but
With
it's
anyone, but
getting
especially ADD. Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's
why do you
helped.
think there's, what you described is pretty common. A lot of people, they resist the sort of, meditation mindfulness thing, and they might do it a little bit. And then at some point they just kind of, they either, in my case, they stick with me. At some point it sticks for real. But
Right.
a lot of people resist it and then it catches on. What was that shift for you?
Uh, for me, it was a couple things. One would be I'd feel it's it's not immediate gratification. Sometimes like I'd meditate and I'm done. I'm like, oh my god, it feels so good. Or like I was really mindful, like with my wife, and like, oh, I feel so close and attached to her. But then it goes away and you forget about it. And or like if I'm having a lot of stress, I will do that for a while. Then the stress subsides, and I'm like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
good now, and I let it go. I didn't. For me, I didn't take it seriously. It I would notice the benefits and then either let it go or think that maybe the benefits were something else. It was, and then next thing you know, 6 months down the road, I'm stressing out again, or I'm forgetting everything. I'm not present. I'm on my phone more than I should be. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's, whereas if I work out, I do jujitsu, I know I'm getting better. I'm tapping this guy I
Yeah.
couldn't beat before. At work, if I study, I'm doing a better job as a fireman or a paramedic. That's another thing. With this, it's not tangible. You don't feel it as
Yeah,
often.
that's always the hardest, one of the hardest aspects of the mental game is that it's not always instantaneous. I tell people when I teach people to meditate, I often say that, you'll feel a little like lighter or better or more relaxed if you meditate, but if you do it for weeks, then now you're starting, or eventually months, now you're really starting to train your mind to
Yeah.
be more in here now, to be more focused, to be more present, right? If you do it sporadically here and there, you get a little bit of a boost in that moment, but it's not the same as, it's like the practice in jujitsu. You're doing it every day. Now you're starting to really improve months later. Do it
Yes.
sporadically.
Yeah. It's not gonna. You're not. You get what you put into it. I find. And again, just like I'm not a professional MMA fighter, I'm not a great meditator. I'm working on it, but in the
Well, the
time, it felt
ADD thing
better.
is tricky, it makes it harder, to like sit and focus, right? And that's
Yeah.
why
Oh yeah.
a lot of times with athletes or people that struggle with attention issues, I tell them to work out hard first, then meditate,
Yes. Yes.
right?
That when I wasn't injured, yeah, I go for a run, or after train, I'll sit in my car for 10 minutes and get just a good meditation in, and that's way less distracting. Also, I find you take this phone, I put it in the trunk, so I can't touch it.
Yeah, and that's a really good habit in general. Just remember, we've talked about that before. You put the phone face down when you're at dinner with your wife, or
Yes.
you put the phone somewhere else, purposely leave it in a charger in another room, and then you have your experiences in life. Otherwise, the addiction is like right there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
You hear a buzz, you're like, oh, what's that? And
yeah.
it's almost
And that
never
I
worth it.
think is more common now than ever, like this phone addiction thing,
Yes.
YouTube videos and so on, right? Doesn't end.
Yeah. No. Right.
Yeah,
And it was a lockdown. Everyone's just going. It's all they're on the phone all day. So they're in the
totally.
house.
Lockdown is just reinforcing more of TV, phone, right? All that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
What's I would imagine also though that like as with the jujitsu, the breathing, the meditating, the mindfulness practice, I would imagine that in this 6 months where you picked that up, you're probably, like having a better experience doing jujitsu, I would imagine.
Right. When I haven't since so I haven't been able to train, which stinks, since when did I think Christmas was the last time I was able to train because of my job. Uh, every time I'd work, I'd be in an ambulance with someone with COVID. Very close contact. So I didn't want to get my teammates in contact with it. So I haven't been able to train
Exposed.
much, exposed.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I would notice, yeah, the focus. If I had a good headspace when I went in, if I'm not thinking about 10 other things when I start, my matches would go a lot better. Someone who might give me a hard time, I might do better than I would normally.
And have
But
you
also,
learned to
yeah,
meditate before your matches? Have you done stuff like that?
not yet, but I might
I
try it when I
think
get
that
back.
might be next. You know what I mean? Like you
Okay.
do the meditation in sometime in the morning when you wake up before your match, or you know what I mean, or sometime in the
Hmm.
afternoon if you're
Yep.
grappling later in the in the evening or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I will. We'll give it a go, and I'll report back.
I love it. Hey, we've had a great time here, Sean. I think we might have to have you back because this was really fun for me.
Me too.
Sean Matta, uh, Paraman, paramedic, fireman, all around great guy. Jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't say jiu-jitsu master, but someone who's just a total love affair with jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
and is really
Just an
starting to bring the
enthusiast.
mental game into your life in ways that are really cool. I really appreciate that.
If you want the master, maybe we can get my coach Luigi on here. We'll do a twofer if he's available.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. All right,
Awesome.
great to see you. Thanks, Sean.
Great, Brett. See ya.
Thanks for watching See It and Feel It with me, Dr. Brett. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, or share it with a friend.